Hello YouTube, this is Thompson 08737 bringing you another 1/400 scale model airport update. So this update, once again a little bit of a variation. I think the next update will probably be the busiest one we've done, certainly in terms of the passenger side of things, with a mix of cargo in there as well. And basically I've got like a system of dates that I go through, which corresponds with each update, and as I do that I check each model to make sure that particular livery was actually active during that time. So as an example, just off the top of my head, I had like the British Airways, Gemini Jets British Airways A319 GUPA listed an update around about this time period, which as it wasn't actually true because the actual model has the United Kingdom titles at the back and they were actually removed quite early on. And it's little things like that I kind of kind of distinguish whether it would be inactive during that time in that particular colours. I mean, you might argue that little something like that is only small, and kind of in previous model airport dates I've done sort of feature models like that, not realising little details like that. But yeah, I am kind of trying to take notice as much as I can where possible, where things could change. So I believe, yeah, we're in 2011, I can't remember this, I'm thinking May time, I think this update is. I don't actually have that information with me right now, but yeah, if I remember I'll drop it in the description. But yeah, it definitely is in 2011, and so the next update will be as well, which, like I say, is probably one of the busiest. And yeah, again, some of the models just get shuffled around. If, for instance, I've got the information that the aircraft was active during that year, it might not have actually been active during the month that this, that particular update is supposed to be based on, which means shuffling it either sort of further down to another update or, at a time when it was active, that kind of thing. Just a bit of background information as to how these kind of are sort of panning out, these updates and stuff like that. Again, I've mentioned before, I don't want to overcrowd this airport, with tons of models. As you can see, it's not a massive airport, it's not like a huge international airport like, Manchester, Heathrow, Gatwick, that kind of thing. It's quite big in terms of, having the cargo apron and stuff like that, and obviously a separate ramp for the passenger side of things. But, generally speaking, you are kind of talking a bit of a small time kind of airport generally. But yeah, that's just a bit of background information as to how the updates kind of pan out and what happens when I'm actually looking into, little things and stuff like that. So we'll start off with the models on this side. So this British Airways A320, this is registration GEUUH, operating as BA710 from Heathrow. British Airways at this point, British Airways kind of on this airport are probably, operational throughout the years. Believe the next update will feature some special chartered BA flights, but yeah, just to indicate, gives you an idea that British Airways would have operated scheduled flights from Heathrow to this airport. And then next up we have this Thomas Cook 757-200, registration GFCLB, operating as TCX 2543 to Hurghada, which of course is Egypt. Underway with servicing there. We've got the catering truck to the rear on the other side, and what I'm using as like an ambulift on the other side, on the R2 door. And then we have this other 757-200 pushing back. This First Choice Airways 757-200, registration GOOBB, This is pushing back to ready for an outbound to Alicante. Just a bit of information, it's very rare you would actually accommodate for two 757s at the same time on this airport, simply because of the stand layout. I think I've maybe perhaps explained it before, but it's basically stands 1 to 3, with 1 and 3 having a left and right configuration as well. So obviously stand 2 in the middle is purely up to a 757 size, which is the general stand for when a 757 comes in, which is where the Thomas Cook is positioned. Of course, any other 757s that would come in, they can't use the left and right stand, so they would have to use the central stands, which would be specifically either stand 1 or stand 3. Obviously, with the British Airways A320 positioned on 3 left, as it is on the setup, obviously there's no actual room to use the central stand, so therefore it's positioned here. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. I'm sure it will. A lot of airports, I think nowadays in the UK, tend to have this kind of configuration because it allows for, well, it's basically known as like Mars. I think it's like, I can't remember exactly what it stands for now, but multi-aircraft sort of designation type thing. I think used quite a lot at Heathrow, and I'd say quite a few airports to be fair. But yeah, not very often you would see two 757s down at the same time. But that's the kind of configuration that they would use for the stand layout if it happens, such as this update. Well, entering the runway, runway 02 as you can see. We have this Flybe -8 Q400. Registration GJCK. Flight numbers B263264 to Jersey. Regular service this. I think it's featured already quite a few times. I will be honest, it's a shame we only have one Flybe, 1400 Flybe in this scheme. With this registration, instead of maybe multiple with different registrations. I was actually looking at 1/200 scale the other day, and there's quite a few 1/200 models that I'd love to have, but I mean space is a massive issue. Obviously the bigger the models and stuff like that. But there's actually been a fair share of Flybe aircraft done, certainly in this scheme, in 1/200 scale compared to 1400. Given the ones from First Choice that they did, and then obviously the most recent one from Gemini Jets, or Gemini 200 as well. But yeah, I think quite an iconic kind of livery in this scheme, to be fair, through the years. And yeah, it's a shame. I know obviously they are back now to some degree, Flybe, but again, it's still not the same. I don't think. I think this is probably the most prominent livery. I know obviously they changed to the purple livery as well, but whenever I think of Flybe, I probably distinguish this aircraft, this livery specifically more than any other. But yeah, this is regular service, as I said, features quite a lot, and just gives you an idea of how regular the service is as well. And then we pan across to the cargo stand. We have this sole aircraft on stand. This Lufthansa Cargo MD-11F. Registration DALCN. This is operating as LH8272. From Frankfurt, we'll be heading back out on a longer trip to Curitiba in Brazil. I think that's how you pronounce it. And I believe this was actually the last MD-11 ever built, as far as I'm concerned, as far as the information tells me online, which is a pretty interesting, and probably why this particular registration was made, in all fairness. But yeah, I'll be honest, I prefer this livery of Lufthansa. I mean, it's kind of, you maybe consider, 90s kind of feel with this livery, even though we are kind of in this update in the 2010s, but even still, compared to the newer livery that Lufthansa have got, yeah, I do prefer this livery across the fleet, to be fair, not just MD-11s but across the entire fleet. It just adds a bit more variation with the colour scheme. you know, the tail, the logo, the white of the fuselage, and then the grey sort of underbelly and stuff like that. It's yeah, it kind of adds that uniqueness to it. Nice little model done by Gemini Jets, to be fair. In all fairness, I think it's Gemini. Yeah, Gemini Jets that did it. With the antennas and stuff. So yeah, nice little model to feature. And yeah, that pretty much sums it up for this update. I mean, I do apologise actually if I kind of waffled on quite a bit. Yeah, I just kind of like to explain things a little bit and give you guys a bit more of a perception as to how this kind of airport works and stuff like that, and the stand layouts and what aircraft can be accommodated and stuff like that. Just a bit more of an insight, and hopefully it makes the updates more interesting rather than just me reading, yeah, this model, that model, so on, our update's finished, you know, that kind of thing. By all means, if you've got any questions, then by all means ask. Obviously pictures and stuff will follow on my Instagram page, Facebook page, and on the forums as well, if you follow me on there. But yeah, like I say, in the meantime, thanks for watching, and like I said, stay tuned for the next update, because that is probably one of the busiest, if not the busy. I'm sure it's the busiest we've done so far. So that's definitely an interesting one to stay tuned for. A very good variation to feature in that one. So yeah, keep a lookout for that. Again, it'll probably come maybe in at least a week's time, probably, maybe even longer. It depends on schedule and stuff, whatever else I might get up to. But as always, again, thanks for watching.